All right, US Championship starting in a couple of days. It's been a long ride. Last year's US Championship was pretty rough on you. You went all the way to the playoffs. You made an incredible comeback to get to the playoffs, but fell short. Big US Championships right now, probably the strongest in history. We have Leveronian, who's playing for the first time. We have Wesley. We have a lot of very strong players.
Lanier, Sam.
And in fact, it's the first time that we have 14 players.
Yeah,
At least in recent years.
I don't know about the entire history of the U.S. Championship, but yeah, it's traditionally been 11 rounds, and like Fischer's 11-0 run is famous, right? So that became a tradition. I don't know how far back that stretches exactly, but yeah, 14 rounds. Um, uh, and sorry, 14 players, yeah?
13 rounds, yes.
13 rounds, 14
14
players.
players, yeah.
So yeah, very long. I mean, it's kind of similar to Vaikanze in that sense, but it's a very unusual format for a tournament normally. Yeah, all the best players except for Hikaru. Hikaru decided not to play the U.S. Championship this year. I'm not sure exactly why, but I guess he doesn't feel it's so interesting for him. But yeah, as you mentioned, Wesley, Levon, Lanier will be the top, and myself will be the top four in the tournament. Sam Shankland and Sam Sevian, both 2,700 plus now. I think is Sevian still 2,700 plus?
I think so. Yeah.
But still, at least he's definitely like
I
27.
know Hans is not 2,700 anymore. I think he's 2,698.
Yeah, Hans, of course, will be an interesting addition. First time playing the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
And yeah, now he's also 2,700 plus.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I mean, very close to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he has been, yeah, in live rating.
His Twitter handle is still 2704. Super Grandmaster.
Yeah, I mean, okay, he reached that level, so Hans will also be interesting. And yeah, there's a lot of sort of newcomers, like Christopher Yu. I haven't played the guy before in a classical game. I did play him once in a like very casual game when he was still a kid, like I mean, he's still very young, but even younger, he was literally a child. And we just played a blitz game. His father was there. It was at Isle of Man. I forget which year it was, but he was a talented kid then, of course. Not now he's actually an established grandmaster, a strong player. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, it's an interesting mix of established top players, newcomers, and those guys who are experienced but not exactly top players, but still have a lot of experience in this tournament and also against the best guys in the world.
It's only been a couple of weeks since the Sinquefield Cup finished. How did you train for the U.S. Championship? How did your training routine look like?
Well, I mean, there were other tournaments. There was the Chess 960, Chess 9 LX, yeah, and Chess 960, and after that there were some online games. You know, there's this Chess Global Championship going on, and I played 2 matches, and I was quite fortunate to win both matches. So I got to the final 16, and I'll be playing against Dmitry Andreikin to potentially qualify for the final 8, which is held live in Toronto. And I think we've spoken about that already on various episodes. So part of the time I spent was on that, and also the preparation for that somewhat, and general chess preparation, which might come in use in the U.S. Championship. So yeah, that's been most of it, and also some rest because I had quite a busy summer, and it's good to get a little bit of rest before a tough tournament.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Christopher Yu and this mix of young talent, young up-and-coming talent, as well as a lot of experience. Who do you see as your biggest rival in this one, or toughest competitor?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of the guys at the top are very similar in strength. I should mention that Wesley is the current U.S. champion. He won last year. It was it was a slightly weird playoff because it was a 3-way playoff, and they had an odd system to determine how that went, and it was basically 1-game mini matches. So I played 1 game against Wesley, and I lost that, and then I beat Sam, and he beat Sam. So the final standings based on that were Wesley first, I'm second, and Sam Sevian is third. But after I lost the first game against Wesley, I didn't have a chance to come back. Even winning against Sem in my second game, it didn't actually matter for me in terms of winning the tournament. So Wesley is the current champion, so of course he's the man to beat this year. But it looks like Levon just won a match against Sam Sevian in this Chess Global Championship. It finished today, so he's probably riding high on those emotions. That's very very nice win for him because he qualifies for the Final 8 in Toronto, and that's a very big tournament. So he's probably very happy about that. I think that he'll be looking also to make a good performance in the U.S. Championship. But who knows? There's a lot of wild cards, a lot of guys who could potentially, like we saw last year. Yes, Sevian was definitely an underdog. Nobody expected him to almost win the tournament, but he did make it to the playoff. And I think it's very unpredictable. Who knows who it could be? I mean, let's say Lenier also super experienced. He hasn't come close really to winning a U.S. championship, but it could be his year. So there's a lot of guys like that who have a chance.
So those definitely could be considered the favorites. Who would you rank as, let's say, dark horses?
Well, I think we gotta say Hans is a dark horse, right? I mean, the guy, ignoring all the potential scandals, he has sometimes very good results and sometimes very bad results. So if he has a very good result, then he definitely has a shot. So he would be my main dark horse contender. And I would say also like Shanklin, definitely. He's one of the few players in the tournament who has won a U.S. championship and in a dominating fashion in 2018. So he already knows what it's like to win a tournament like this. To me, he always strikes me as like a very solid, steadfast player, well prepared, very measured in his approach. And you would think that doesn't necessarily lead to huge results. It leads to very consistent results. But sometimes he does have really big results. So he's also a dark horse, I would say.
How do you feel these big changes going from 12 players, to 14? How do you feel these big changes will affect your play?
I don't think so much. I mean, I'm used to long tournaments. I just hope what happened in the candidates, which was that at some point I just ran out of nervous energy, that doesn't happen, that I can keep my energy levels up, because that's gonna decide. But traditionally, I think I do tend to keep consistency in the late stages of tournaments. Didn't happen in the candidates, but I hope that here I'll be able to do it.